subscriber asked me for some information as to how to deal with scratches through the clear coat into the base coat. So I did a short video, and I'm actually going to do just a short series that we can put in there amongst the other series that we have going. And we're going to deal with all types of scratches. We'll deal with scratches, very minor, scratches that are almost halfway through the clear coat. We're going to deal with the scratches that he wants to know about that are through the clear into the base coat. We're going to deal with scratches all the way down into the primer where you have to actually incorporate some type of touch-up. But today, dealing with the scratches through clear coat into the base coat, where he thought it would be one of the most scary, nerve-wracking scratches to take care of. It's actually one of the easiest because we just want to do a little damage control. We're not worried about cutting into the clear very deep to get rid of it. I can get rid of these. Anything that's not through the clear, I can get rid of altogether and blend in nicely with the rest of the panel. It takes a little bit more experience, a little bit more work, but these here really aren't that bad to take care of, and I'll show you how to do that today. So let's get started. This scratch here is long. It's rather wide, it's deep, it's through the clear coat into the base coat. An easy way to tell without using gadgets and expensive tools is run your fingernail across it. If it catches it, more than likely there's a high percentage it's through the clear. If it just glides right across the scratch without catching, you could probably remove it altogether. Tools we're using today, easy to find, easy to make. You can go to Michael's craft store, get some foam, hook and loop adhesive, make these blocks yourself, or get a magic eraser to wrap sandpaper around. I personally use the Trizact discs, and that's for a reason we'll get into just a little bit later on. Okay, so this is the scratch that we're working on today. It's rather wide, it's deep. We have the clear coat, base coat primer. It's down through the clear into the base coat. If you look at clear coat up close, it's rather textured. It's not smooth, has peaks, has valleys. We also have a top view, and when I start, my first pass will be going across the scratch, and then I will quickly switch, keeping the same grit paper. And by the way, I don't use sanding paper, I use the Trizact discs, and I use that for a purpose, especially on wider, deeper scratches. But I will use the disc going with the scratch as well. So when we're going across the scratch, we're going to be taking some of these edges off at the top, smoothing it out. And when I go with the scratch, the Trizact discs will actually conform to the scratch. If I put a little bit of pressure, it'll reach down a little bit deeper than your sanding paper, and it will smooth out some of the jagged edges along the crevice of the scratch as it goes down into the base coat. Now, why is that important? Scratches are unsightly for a reason. Light, sunlight, artificial light comes in and it bounces off of all of these jagged edges in the scratch, and that's what makes it so unsightly, so ugly to look at. And what we want to do, especially on a scratch like this in particular that is through the clear and we can't remove it completely, is to make it look better, to mask it, turn it into what I call turn it into a 6-footer into a 2-footer, so you could see it without any doubt from 6 foot, and we're going to turn it into a scratch where you have to be at the perfect angle, using the perfect light with your nose 1 to 2 feet away from the scratch to be able to notice it whatsoever. So let's get started. I prefer the Trizact disc attached to foam blocks of different consistency, firmness, some softer, some a little bit harder, depending on what I'm working on. So I already made a pass across the scratch. Now I want to make a pass going along the scratch. And you could use the magic eraser. I'll use both. I use the magic eraser wrapped with sandpaper. I'm also going to use the block with my favorite Trizact disc. And we're starting out with 1500 grit here, just to knock off some of the edges. And by the way, the Rit sticks that have come out recently and that method are very effective as well. I just can't handle something that small in my old beat-up arthritic hands for long periods of time. So I'm just sticking with a method I've used for a long period of time and has served me well. All right, we made one pass with the 1500 grit. We're going to switch to 3000 grit. This is a Trizact disc attached to a foam block. We're going to make our second pass. We're now blending in, which is why we're making the area a little bit larger than we made on the first pass. All right, so we're not using a lot of pressure here. We're not spending a whole lot of time sanding. We just want to knock down those edges. We don't want to remove the orange peel effect. We don't want to make this area more noticeable where the scratch already is. We're just knocking down some of the jagged edges in and around the scratch. And you'll see after I'm done here, it still remains. It's going to be less visible, but it's still there. The only way to remove that 100% is pulling it into a body shop. But this is what it looks like now. From here, I'm just going to use a medium cut compound. We're going to use the rotary. We have a hybrid wool pad. Just make a few passes and knock down some of the marks we made with the 3000 grit sandpaper. And then we're going to finish out with a polish and we are done. Okay, that's going to do it. I'll remove the residue. I'll bring you in for a quick look before we go to the polishing step. Already an absolute huge difference. Yes, it's still there, but you're going to have to get at the right angle and at the right distance to see it. There is one section of the scratch that's very deep that's going to pop out at you first. But again, you're going to have to be at the right spot at the right time to see it. The final step before protection, we want to bring out clarity. We want to bring out shine and gloss. That also does a great job blending the scratch in with the panel, or what's left of the scratch anyway. So I have a finishing pad, I have an ultra fine finishing polish, and we're going to finish it off here. Finish polishing, protect with a wax or preferably a quality sealant, and here are the before and afters. Definitely still there, but I'm going to have to walk just about all the way around the panel to find the exact angle and the exact distance to see it. Customer out into the shop, let him check the panel. For the most part, he probably won't see it. And all of this is done for a fraction of the price that you would have to pay a body shop to completely fix this area. In the next installment, we'll take care of surface scratches on the clear coat that we can remove completely. Okay guys, so the valley of this scratch is smoothed out a bit, less sunlight or artificial light bouncing off of those jagged edges, which makes it less noticeable on a panel. It's quite expensive to get a panel repaired, a full panel from a body shop, for a scratch. So if you can do a service like this for your customer, blend it in, make it less noticeable, they'll be very grateful for it. And yes, it is a little easier than a lot of scratches that we're going to cover in the future, especially the ones where we can remove them and we want to shave down a bit of clear. Here we were just blending in. We weren't shaving a ton of clear off of there. We didn't want to make it susceptible to UV damage and oxidation and all that other stuff. We even left the orange peel texture to it. So if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate. Brian from Apex Detail. I will cover the rest of these scratches. I'll slide these videos in when I can. But have a great day. Catch you in the next video.